What kind of fuckery this you're going with a London youth?
I'm sorry, Fox. Me try for call it for 3 weeks, man.
But man, everything cool, man. We find a different connection. We're gonna need more of us.
Only eat more. I gotta clean up in England, trust me.
Dennis, I say pass the thing to Rico.
Rico too slack, man. I'm not ready.
Dennis, me ask you to deliver the goods to Rico. I trusted you.
You never hear me say Rico is a liability. I run him out about how you was a big fish in a little pond. I can't take them thing.
I sent you to London so you wouldn't start a war in Kingston.
This is your first time directing.
Yeah.
What was it about this story that attracted you?
I think it was a book that I read when I was younger. It was one of the first, I wasn't a big reader, not a big reader now, but like here I was reading this novel and it was about a character that I could kind of relate to or kind of recognize the world he comes from. The music was very much a part of, my upbringing and I could relate. So cut to 25 years later, here comes this script that sort of does a really good job of sort of stepping away from the book a little bit, embellishing some of the themes, and here we were. I was being offered an opportunity to direct it and visualize it, and I just knew that I could relate, and so I tried my best to adapt it to a certain place where I felt it was more coming from me as a voice, as a director, and there it is.
So how did you first come to get involved?
So the casting agents in Jamaica sent me, well, they didn't send me anything. They just told me there's a film coming out and we sent you a resume. We can't give you much details. And then a couple months after, I did a self-tape audition, sent it up. And then Idris came to Jamaica and he requested an audition with me personally with Amel. And then it just went on from there.
And that must have been tremendously exciting. I mean, having not known what the film was, you must have been blown away.
I didn't even know who the director was. I had no idea Idris was the director. So when I went to the audition, I didn't know he was the person in the room until I got in the room, which was amazing.
When did you kind of settle on your two leads for the role?
Amel Amin was the first person I cast, and I cast him off one meeting on an aeroplane going to LA, and he was very, he just wanted to do it. And he had other things that were, he was in the Maze Runner at the time. I think he was going to go on to do some more films. And he said, I want to do this. I just want to do this. And I was really lucky. Yvonne, Chantel, I auditioned in Jamaica. As soon as I met her, I fell in love. I knew she would kill the role. So it all happened, sort of like Amel a year and a half before I started filming and everyone else as I started casting.
When you finally did get to know what the film was about, what about the story attracted you to the role?
I appreciate the fact that it was a love story in terms of we don't see a lot of love stories coming out of Jamaica. And so even though it's a gangster film, which is what we're used to, the characters were humanized. And I appreciated that. You could understand, even though there's this bad man, there's a story behind it. You see the love of his brother, the love of, his child and the woman he's been with from he was a child. I appreciated those aspects of the film.
It's also a great supporting cast as well, particularly Revelation with Stephen Graham, who really brings it.
Yeah, Stephen Graham's an incredible actor. He's part Jamaican, so his heritage is really important to him, and he wanted to put that into a film for the first time. And he came in and it was a play. We only had him for a few days, and he came in and wowed everyone. Most of his scenes were in that room, so it was like watching a masterclass. Stephen Graham's a very, very, very good actor, but to watch him also to play part of his heritage was mesmerizing to watch, and sometimes quite emotional for him, for everyone, because he was really in it.
And how was it just to work with? Because obviously, though he's a big star, it's his first time directing.
Idris was amazing to work with. I say it all the time, and I think it's because he is such a brilliant actor. So he understands the actor's process, us getting into character and giving us the opportunity to do what felt natural. And, if you need a moment, he'll say, okay, take a moment to do this. I remember him coming into my dressing room sometimes before scenes to have conversations. I mean, we did rehearsals before, but he was still very hands-on, even with hair and makeup. He'll be in the trailer giving his opinion or saying, do this, do that. I appreciated how hands-on he was with the whole process and, giving us the ability to do what we felt was natural in the moment. And also he knew exactly what he wanted, because I like to be directed, right? If you want me to do this, say, do this and I'll do it. So he was able to do both, which I appreciated.
period detail is absolutely fantastic. I mean, what's it like overseeing all that? Like the look of the clothes, the cars, the old school red striped cans. I mean, what's it like overseeing kind of getting all that right?
It's definitely a collaborative process. My art direction, Damon Craig, you know, he was incredible. And it was a constant source of, let's really look at the time and references and pictures. And it's weird because the 80s, it's not weird, but the 80s is a very well documented time of our year. In England, the 80s revolutionised England. So there's lots and lots and lots and lots of references of it. Now, the Yardie culture, if you like, you know, there's less of actually, but, you know, because some of it comes from my memory banks. I kind of remember what it was like. I was coming of age at the time this film is set, so I kind of remember. But we were also really lucky to get, like, the speaker boxes and the sound equipment. They don't sell that stuff anymore. The people that have kept them, and they look, and they still work, and they're amazing.
Idris, he wanted London to look very grey, because at the time it was very grey. And I remember him getting in smoke machines, you know, and it's like, grey, the place was grey and it was cold, and you know, it was just amazing being in that time. I remember there's a walk down where we lived in Hackney. Emil talks about that a lot, just us and Vanessa walking down and having a conversation, and her saying, you know, I think it's better to be here because it's safer here, and Vanessa can grow up here. And he's like, no, I want to go back home. But like Yvonne battling with what's happening in Jamaica now compared to what's happening here. I mean, it's cold, but I think it's better, which I think was the mindset of a lot of people back then.
One of the most striking things about watching the film is kind of the cut between the dialogue, the more Jamaican traditional and the British. Right. Was that a big part of kind of important to you in terms of telling the story?
Yeah, I mean, I made a big decision about being authentic. I just didn't want to be sitting at the end of this process and Jamaican people going to me, I ain't Jamaican. That would have been heartbreaking for me. It's a film called Yardie, which is a derogatory term about Jamaicans, so let alone that, but then make it a film that's inauthentic would have been just a kick in their nuts, you know, and in the nuts of storytelling for me. I just wanted to make something that just was kept real. Now, that did make it very difficult for some audiences to get involved with the film because it's so niche of the ear. And if you know, you know. But at the same time, I think the story is demonstrative. It's not like it's a complicated story. I think people go, oh, I get what's going on. I can sense what's going on. I can sense from the language. And we made very clear distinctions to make sure that the English people sound like English and Jamaicans really sound like Jamaicans in it.
Do you think that's important in telling the story?
I think it is, and I think it's one of the main reasons why Idris wanted Jamaican actors to be a part of the film, because he wanted the film to be as authentic as possible. And so I remember even in scripting, when we were in rehearsals, there was one, I had a monologue, and he said, would you actually say it like this? And I said, there are some parts of it that, you know, naturally to the tongue, I would probably say it different or say something else. And he was very open to that because he wanted to stay true to the culture. He didn't want to disrespect the British culture nor the Jamaican culture. And so he'd say, how would you say it? How would you do it? You know, and if it works, let's do that. You know what I mean? And so, as I said, I think that's why he got Jamaican actors. That's why it was important for him to shoot in Jamaica with Jamaican people and experience the culture and the vibe and everything. I think those are things that made the film what it is.
I come here to change my life. To get away from Kingston. Look at yourself. The grief never left you.
You're still like a mad dog.
Now your brother getting shot down like that. Ancient history.
These Yardies, they have trouble.
I'm asking if you deliver the goods to Rico. But trusted you. Rico is a liability that me have to deal with. You understand?
Rico, it's going to kill you.
Can't have this nonsense around me.
Could have just gone back to Jamaica.
10 years ago, you killed my brother.
Sometimes a man have to choose his own path.
You can't go on like this.